Hello everyone, welcome to Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services. It's a video on daily news and editorial analysis, which I'll be covering from the Hindu and Indian Express. The important news and editorial that would be relevant for the preparation of civil services examination will be discussed in this session. Let's get started with the news topic list. Today is 21st of April. The first important news, that is new space policy allows private and government entities. Second, SCO meeting for the prevention of emergency situation. Third is MPC member caution war against the inflation not yet won. There's something more that the RBI has to come up with the recent policy rates and controlling the inflations. There are two editorial on the discussion. The first is the new edge to fight the tuberculosis. And the last editorial is from the Indian Express, the steel frame to Bhavna Briksha, right? So we'll see the detailed part of the editorial and discussion. And apart from the news and editorial discussion, at the end of this video, there will be MCQ based questions. These questions will be based on current affairs that will help you for the upcoming prelims examination. So without any further delay, let's get started. And still, if you are new to our channel, do not forget to subscribe Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services on YouTube. If you like this video, if you find this video informative and helpful, do press a like button. And apart from the part of the study, you need to have a practice of good questions. We at Apti Plus is providing prelims test series for 2023, where 60 high quality tests will be provided to the aspirant. This will include 6,000 plus questions. Along with this, you will also get the subscription of IAS Guested magazine, which is a must read for the current affairs. You can avail this test series both online as well as offline. So do check it out with the video description, where I've provided a link to register for this course. The first news, that is new space policies allows private and government entities, something important for General Studies paper 2, that is the government policies and intervention for the development of various sectors and issues arising from a design and implementations. So recently the Union Cabinet has approved that the non-government entities, will also call it NGE, right? And the government startup and even the part of the private companies will able to establish and operate with the remote sensing satellite within and outside India through a self-owned procedures and leased satellite. So definitely this is something where the private participation has come into the space sector, which is very important in a longer run, in a part of the strategy to augment the space sector. Now, India's space policies 2023 was unveiled by ISRO, Indian Space Research Organization. And in the recent time, ISRO has launched several remote sensing satellites like RESAT. I think most of you must be aware of this. And Cartosat was there, right, over the period of time. That was later used by the Indian security agencies for keeping an eye on the country's border, checking infiltrations, and even planning for the cross-border operations like 2016. Now, something more about the new space policies. The new space policy will give more freedom to the private companies in setting up their own part of the assets. और जितने भी non-governmental entities होंगे, they will be allowed to undertake end-to-end activities, right? जहाँ पे वो space sectors में collaborate कर पाएंगे. Even they will be in the part of the operations, ground-based surgical strike, related services such as communications, remote sensing, and navigations. Now they can establish and operate through the ground facilities. Such important part include like telemetry, tracking, command, the earth stations, satellite control centers. These are the facilities that will be availed by the NGE, that is a non-government entities. Now they can also use India's orbital resources, non-Indian orbital resources to establish the space object communication satellite over India and outside India. So if you see the part of US, वहाँ पे भी काफ़ी ऐसी companies हैं जो कि operate करती हैं privately, and somewhere they are also collaborating with the government. And to a larger extent, if you see NASA, they have explored a lot many in terms of research, in terms of their part of the technology upgradation. So private player in space sector for India was definitely unnecessary. The role of space regulators की बात की गई है, जो न्यू पॉलिसीज हैं वहाँ पे रोल ऑफ रेगुलेटर्स होंगे, लाइक इसरो विल बी द पार्ट ऑफ द रेगुलेटर्स, स्पेस रेगुलेटर लाइक इन स्पेस, द कमर्शियल आर्म्स ऑफ the New Space India's Limited, also known as NSIL. तो NSIL ने पूरी policies की responsibility ली है, where they will be looking into the part of the commercializations, the technologies, and also creating through the public expenditure. Now, it shall also provide the services that is needed for a sound commercial principle, and industry has positively reacted to the part of the Indian Space Policies 2023. और अगर इन स्पेस की अगर बात करें, which is a commercial arm of the ISRO, it says that it acts as a single window agencies in authorizations by the government entities as well as non-government entities, and even subject to relevant government directions, keeping in mindset with the national security. कोई भी चीजों को national security से compromise नहीं की जाएगी. Either there is a public-private partnership. So this is something that international obligations and foreign policy consideration will also be taken by the regulators. Now, what is the significance of this policy? Definitely, first, it will be looking forward with helping the part of the India's vision to growth the space industries in India. And even if you see the part of the Atmanirbhar Bharat, definitely a collaboration is required to build a sector which has a potential in the longer run, right? So it provides much needed clarity on the space activities, especially regarding the space communication and other applications. It will also help to create opportunities and create the private sector engaging in this aspects. और ये policy catalyze करेगी in part of developing of the innovations, robust technology, global competitiveness in the space ecosystem in the country. So if you're writing in mains paper, make sure you highlight the significance of the new space policies. Now moving to the other news, SCO meeting for preventions and elimination of emergency situation. Something important for General Studies Paper 2, that is bilateral regional grouping and agreement involving India and affecting India's interest. So there was a meeting chaired by Union Home Minister. This is called the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Member state ke meeting the, where they called for eliminations and prevention of the emergency situation, right? So India has a special attention on the part of the meeting that took place, and even India called for promoting the dialogue on the subject related to multidimensional political, security and economical subjects. Now, India's SCO journey की अगर बात करें, as far as the part of the journey which India undertook, so India started with the part of the SCO journey way back in 2005, right, where it has played an important role as an observer country. So one point to be noted, India starting से ही SCO की permanent member नहीं रही है. It started with the observer status, and finally in 2017, right, when the 17th summit was there, India has become the permanent member of the SCO. So these are the two important points that you should take a note of. And even India ने priority अपनी रखी SCO में. This priority is called secure theme. What does secure mean? For secure, S is security, E is economic cooperation, C is connectivity, U is unity, R stand for respect for sovereignty and integrity, and E stand for environmental protection. Very, very important point, specifically both for prelims as well as for the mains examination. The Shanghai Cooperation Organization will probably be the largest organization, representing 40% of the global population, 25% of the global GDP, and 20% of the world land area. Now, disaster risk reductions की बात की गई है. India has attached the special importance for the disaster risk reduction, which is already in share with the expertise experience in the field of greater corporations, even the part of the SCO member state. And Home Minister has categorically said that India believes there's no hazards for small or big, and we should not leave anything undone. Now, India has now become an accurate in times of early warning system. Even if you see the part of the sea changes and even the early warning system which is there for drought, flood, lightning, heat wave, cold wave, cyclone, the whole thing has improved either with the help of satellite installations, either with the part of the augmenting of the technology and upgradations of the part of the technologies. Coalitions for disaster resilience infrastructure. The Union Home Minister has said that India has led the disaster resilience infrastructure, which is also known as CDRI, and currently 39 members across the globe as a part of the CDRI. CDRI is working toward the member countries to ensure all investment, making it a manner where infrastructure resilience, disaster thereby securing not just past but also for the future. कुछ 5 major approaches की अगर बात करें that has been brought in by the SCO. The first call for confidence building in Asia. Second is collective responsibility and approach. Third is expanding cooperations in communication and information sharing, identifications of the priority areas, using of newly developed technology in disaster resilience, capacity building. So these are the 5 major approaches of the SEO. Now moving to the other news, that is MPC members caution for war against the inflation not yet won. Something relevant for General Studies paper 3 under the subtopic, that is Indian economy and issues related to planning, mobilization, resource growth and development. So one of the member of the Monetary Policy Committee, the member name is Jayant Verma, he has argued that the war against the inflation is not yet over. There are many things that the MPC, the part of the important forum of the RBI policy making, said that it would require a premature to declare the end of the rate tightening cycle, showing the minutes of MPC meeting which was held recently on April 3 to 6. Now, the member noted that there would be premature to declare and end the part of the tightening cycle. Now, how to retain the part of the repo rate? See, repo rate is an important component when it comes to the policy rate management. And MPC in a meeting in April has retained the repo rate at the same rate, at the same level, taking into the account for the turmoil which is going at the global banking crisis, and even due to the recent Russia and Ukraine war, which has disrupted the complete supply chain of the materials, right? Now see, the part of the MPC has kept the repo rate with the short lending, which is 6.5%, and MPC has also maintained the withdrawal accommodations, which is highlighting the readiness and acts should be situations for war. Now, one thing that you must know, what is the monetary policy framework? 2016 में start की गई है, and it was later amended to provide the legislative mandate by the central bank to operate with the monetary policy framework. और इस framework के तहत जितनी भी important policy rate है RBI के अंदर, that is being handled care by the MPC, Monetary Policy Committee, evolving the macroeconomic situation, modulations of liquidations, and even anchoring the market rate or around the repo rates. Now, moving to the other news, this is the editorial, first editorial of the day. That is the new edge to fight against tuberculosis, something important for General Studies paper 2, that is issues related to development and management of health. So in this entire editorial, a detailed part of TB has been discussed. So the theme and the focus area of this article is fight against the tuberculosis. We'll see the lesson learned from the COVID-19 response, engagement with the private sectors, asserting the part of the challenges of the TB, prioritizing the TB vaccines, and appropriating the policy framework. So looking into the background, what has actually happened in the recent time, there was a meeting called One World TB Summit in Varanasi, where this held in March 2023. The Prime Minister has come up with the fresh impetus where the global tuberculosis, that is TB, की eliminations की बात की गई, and even the response is to there that India should be committed to eliminate the TB by 2025. This is the target that Government of India has. The summit has called for innovations in the part of the research that is required and find the new strategies to achieve the desired outcome. Now lessons क्या learn हुई है COVID-19 के through, and COVID-19 के जो response रही है India की, that is spectacular in terms of vaccines manufacturing, in terms of people coordination, in terms of governance, right? So COVID-19 has provided us innate human spirit to adapt, learn, and even experiment and innovate on the part. And the pandemic has come up together where then unprecedented diversity we have seen, we have overcome to it, and even this was something which everyone has collaborated, right? So last few years India has made significant efforts in TB also. The national TB elimination programs के through बहुत सारी चीजें गवर्नमेंट ने इंट्रोड्यूस की है, where they're looking forward to achieve this target by 2022 की अगर बात करें, the let us say that 24 lakh patient were in the part of the measures has taken, and definitely will achieve the target, but once the awareness is very important in this context. We'll discuss that on the later part of the video. That reflect the program expanding to improve the part of detection measure. तो यहाँ पे भी अगर detection measure की बात करें तो awareness is something which is very important. Now engagement with private sector, definitely during COVID-19 vaccine we have seen जिस तरह से private public private partnership हुई थी, उस तरह से जो TB के eliminations है वहाँ पे भी will require the part of the private sector participations. So engagement with the private sector is very important for the inductions of the diagnostic tools, new drug regime, and improve the part of TB management. However, if you see the part of the widespread awareness which is there among the disease, the lack of access to quality care continue to be a challenge. It's not only about the quality, it's also about the awareness which is not there to the people. The recent National TB Prevalence Survey in India found that 64% of the people are infectious with the TB and does not seek care. India is like world highest number of TB patients among any other countries. Now, addressing the challenges of tuberculosis, addressing these challenges will call for a response, which is something introduced with the part of disruptive approach, new technologies, new tool, and even the new innovation in part of diagnostic and treatment. India has long recognized the importance of investing in the health research and developing in the recent year. The mission COVID-19 Suraksha program is also developed for the vaccine as in good examples, and this same can continue with the TB elimination program जहाँ पे ट्रिपल पार्टनरशिप के साथ गवर्नमेंट काफ़ी हद तक चीज़ों को इम्प्रूव कर सकती है. The huge number of diagnostic tests and the variety of vaccines provide the manufacturing sector a robust and large scale part of even to augment the part of manufacturing and even to improve the part of the diagnostics. Now, prioritizing the TB vaccines trial, that is important. So first, there would be required 3 important methods. मैं आपको बताऊंगा क्या कहाँ priorities लाने की ज़रूरत है. The first is to make elimination possible, and this can be done like जो BCG है where most of the TB patients are given. Now we need to move ahead with this because it has a risk of developing another part, right? So COVID-19 vaccine were developed within the year. We must prioritize the part of finding an effective TB vaccine, right? That we have done during the COVID-19. The same can apply for the TB patients. Now the second is testing and diagnostic. This is very important. We need to have the affordability and even the accessibility to the patients, right? So POCTs की जाती है point of tests, points of control test. That is there a home-based COVID-19 test which can also be there for the TB patients, and a new innovation of the nasal and tongue swab test for the TB patient can be a game changer. Third is the development and reintroduction of the therapeutic molecules that can play a crucial role, and shorter and safe effective regime that do exist for 1 HP in the part of the latent infections, and even the drugs supply that is there for the 6-month regime for the drug resistance of the TB. So if 3 things are mostly incorporated, we can see in the longer run more achievement is there in terms of reducing the patient's number. Now there's a need for appropriate policy framework. So to eliminate the part of policy by 2025, we must need a strong platform. We need a policy framework which will channelize the part of research, and this will have paradigm shift in the part of the TB case cascade, right? In terms of prevention, testing, as well as treatment. Now, India is holding the G20 presidency, which will hold in November 2023. India can be another part of the country which can definitely create a health architecture and create the equitable sharing access to all. Now, TB is no longer leading the infections like disease killer globally. This is 21st century that India can lead the way. Now, moving to the second editorial of the day, that is the steel frame to Bhavana Vriksh. Something important for General Studies paper 2, that is the important aspect of governance, transparency, and accountability. So we'll be looking into the part of the editorial and discussions. So under the issues, the theme is like civil services in India, right? We'll see the background part, the civil services as a living entity and future ready civil services. So the government of India has observed the 21st April as a Civil Services Day, and the day is celebrated as a National Civil Services. Sardar Patel has inaugurated the newly created Indian Administrative Service in 1947, and it is this year that has attributed to Sardar Patel phase of steel framework with his negative connotations and rigid restricted rule-based colonial bureaucracy. So if you see the part of the evolutions of Indian civil services is really fascinating, and you as an aspirant must know that yes, the colonizations of the Indian imperial civil services has now the part of the governance which actually India need, right? It's very important that you should know the facts. Now, background, the task of eliminating the India's effort to part of the civil services, like 75 year of India के independence की बात करें, Prime Minister ने पंच प्राण की बात की, that is the 5 pledges for India from transitions to Amrit Mahotsav to Amrit Kaal, right? And the second pledge is to remove the colonial mindset which is there for the revision of self-immunizations, setting up of the colonial baggage among the civil services. Now, the civil services as a living entity, Lal Bahadur Shastri Academy for Administration, जिसे लबासना भी कहते हैं, where the training for civil services take place, फाउंडेशन कोर्स की ट्रेनिंग होती है, बाकी के आईएएस की पूरी ट्रेनिंग वहीं पे की जाती है, right? So they responded that the civil services is the living entity and it's a people tree where it's animated with the part of civilization and for the time immortal. And the civil service is as something like a bhavana bridge, right? It's like a tree that the service of empathy should be there for the positive reformation of spirit through the self-assurance and decolonizations. Now the attribute has a conceptions जहाँ पे idea of civil services for Amrit Kaal रखी गई है, and even it enunciated the part of the Prime Minister where during the Statue of Unity inauguration he has categorically noted that definitely the steel frame of India which was envisaged by the Sardar Patel should be something which should be more strength. Now, there are proactive in politeness, which is required, professional in recognition, which is required, energetic and enabling, transparent and tech-based enable, creative and constructive and imagining and innovation are the part that is essentially required. Now, future ready civil servant की अगर बात करें, the idea of future ready civil servant is that the holistic one. They should have a whole idea of the government, their desolitude, anticipation of future, collaborating in their methods, participatory in engagement and innovation in their spirit. So a civil servant is definitely the first stage of the governance in a country, चाहे वो district की बात हो, even for the part of the block, they definitely play a very important role to provide a service to the citizen. The setting of the former colonial mindset, sharing the sense of the pride of the Indian roots, and duty-bound civil services will be the first nationalist approach for the new ethic for the civil servant. Now, the day of the Bhavana Bridge to acquit itself and to be the part of the able civil servant with something that people of India would definitely require and they will cherish in the way the governance is doing in the country. Now moving to the MCQ questions of the day, before I proceed just to tell you the answers of yesterday's questions. For first question, the correct option was C. For second question, the correct option was B. Today's MCQ for practice, that is about the OceanSat. OceanSat is a series of Earth observatory satellite built and launched and operated by the Indian Space Research Organization. The OceanSat satellite facilitate the part of the range applications including the documenting chlorophyll concentrations and phytoplanktons bloom. So do check out for the correct options. Now the second question of the day, that is the ILO, International Labour Organizations. Following the statement, it is an individual agencies whose mandate to advance the social economic setting by international standard. It was created in 2019 as a part of Treaty of Versailles, and it also releases the social dialogue report. So whichever one of the following is correct one that you have to check as a correct option, and practicing a lot more question will give you an added advantage for the upcoming prelims examination. So this was all about for the daily news and editorial analysis followed by the MCQ questions. If you have any other concern, you can reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to assist you. For time being, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for watching this video.